Today's topic is grief. Now, grief is one of the most universal experiences that we all will have at some point. You know, we're all going to experience loss of some kind, and yet it's very personal. It's very unique to every person, how they grieve in different circumstances, different situations. It's the sorrow we feel when we lose someone or something that we love. And it can feel like a weight, almost like a heavy cloud in your heart that it just doesn't lift. But here's the truth. God sees your grief, and he wants to walk with you through it. And today, I know this isn't a topic that you're going to hear a sermon about. This is not something that we get into in church. But yet all of us have experienced grief. All of us have experienced loss. And today I want to help you be able to address that, but I also want you to be able to minister more intelligently. That's what healing time is. We want to go into those little crevices of our lives that the church may not be addressing, but we can start being ministers in those areas, and we can be Jesus as someone who's carrying a burden. 1 in 5 children will experience the death of someone close to them by the age of 18. I remember that. After losing a loved one, people are at risk, 10 to 20 times higher risk of depression in the first year. And some of that's just the sadness of grief, but if they stay there too long, it can actually turn into clinical depression. Now, grief can increase your risk of heart attack by 21 times within the first 24 hours of loss. Many of us have heard the story of a couple that's been married for 50 or 60 years, and one of them passes and days later, the next one does. Okay, this is a big deal. Widowed individuals are at a 66% chances of higher risk of dying within the first 3 months of following their spouse's death. It's called the widowhood effect. Now, grief isn't just about losing a loved one. Now, it can stem from a divorce. I know lots of people who've experienced real loss there, not just the couple, but the children. Job losses, miscarriages, abortions, chronic illness will definitely cause grief. Even a car accident that creates physical limitations, the loss of that could be grief. Even just the loss of a dream that you thought your life was going to go this way, but life turned you this way, and you grieve what could have been or what should have been. In my 40 years of counseling, I've seen grief manifest in so many ways. The sadness, the anger, sometimes guilt, the physical symptoms, getting sick like a lot during grief, having car accidents, not being focused, being tired, even chest pain or anxiety symptoms, weakened immunity, where they're getting the flu constantly for a whole year. But I've also seen God bring hope to the most brokenhearted. You know, he's close to the brokenhearted, and I love that. The Bible's full of grief and how God responds to grief. In Psalm 34:18, it says this: "The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and save those who are crushed in spirit." God doesn't stand far off. He is right there. He's ready to comfort you. He's ready to minister to you. He's ready to talk to you. Now, let's look at 2 biblical examples of grief. The first one is really a very common one to pick, and that is Job. In Job chapter 1, Job lost his children, which is probably one of the hardest griefs anyone will ever experience when you outlive your children. He lost his wealth. He lost his health, all within a 24-hour period of time. His grief was so overwhelming that he tore his clothes and he mourned. Yet in Job 121, he fell to the ground and he worshiped. And he said this: "Naked I came from my mother's womb, and naked I will depart. The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away. May the name of the Lord be praised." He put his faith in God. Job's faith didn't erase the pain that he was in. All those losses were real, but it kept him anchored in the darkest moments to say that God is still real. God is still loving. God is still kind. I believe in the nature and the heart of God in my situation. And God eventually restored Job to everything, double everything, okay? And showing grief, that's not a bad thing. It's a good thing to cry. It's a good thing to feel. It's a good thing to be sad as you go through the various stages of grief. But go with God. Talk to him and say, Father, I'm feeling sad, or Father, I'm angry that this happened. Father, I want to cry, because grief, the waves of grief are real. I remember losing both of my fathers, and sometimes it would just hit me, and it would just be a grief, okay? Let's talk about Jesus and his grief. In John 11:35, this is a very famous verse, okay? It's the shortest verse in the Bible, okay? Everyone has memorized this, Jesus wept. But those two words carry a ton of meaning. Lazarus was one of Jesus' closest friends, maybe one of his best friends, because he was connected to this whole family. Sometimes we see Jesus as kind of like some kind of caricature walking through. But he was a person who had real friends, real relationship, ate with people, had breakfast with people, went for walks with people, maybe went fishing with people, right? All this kind of stuff. And Lazarus was kind of in that inner circle. And even knowing he would raise Lazarus, Jesus entered the deep pain of loss. Jesus, fully God and fully man, experienced grief just like all of us do. And his example shows us that it's okay to experience these emotions. The fact that Jesus could cry in the moment because of the loss of his friend, and seeing the pain of everyone around him, he joined in, even though Lazarus' story didn't end in death, okay? But it does for us today. Grief isn't a sign of weak faith, okay? It's a sign that you love someone very deeply. I tell people all the time when they're grieving, the pain that you experience is a compliment to that person. It means that you valued them, and they probably valued you. Many people actually can feel, they can feel funny, or they can feel even guilty about grieving, okay, thinking that maybe they're weak. But no, your grief is going to take down probably your battery to maybe 70, 80%. And it's normal for that to happen. According to the Grief Recovery Institute, 75% of grieving people feel pressure to kind of move on, to get back to normal. And I would say, as a minister that you are, don't encourage people to get back to normal. Encourage them to be where they are. I say, listen, you're at about 80% for the next 12 months. Stop expecting 100%. Allow yourself to recharge after grief. Okay? Feeling the need to move on can complicate your healing. Like, I'm supposed to do this. I should do this. Don't tell yourself what you should be experiencing. Experience what you're experiencing. And let people that are in grief, let them be there, okay? There's different stages of grief. We're going to talk about that in a moment. But it's important as we minister to these people that we can just be where they are, like how Jesus was, and to minister to them. So your grief, it's valid, whatever it is, okay, no matter what the cause. God's not afraid of your tears. He's not afraid of your questions, okay? Healing actually starts when you invite God into the pain, okay? And here's a practical step that you can take today. Tell God one thing that you're grieving. Say, God, this is the loss in my life. It could be a person, a broken relationship, a dream, a career, maybe even just a season of life has changed. The kids have gone to college and you're grieving the loss while you're embracing the new season. You can be totally honest with God. He's listening. He sees every tear. And as our Father, he actually loves when we bring our pain to him.
For more content and resources to help in your healing journey with Christ, make sure to follow Dr. Doug Weiss on Facebook and Instagram. If you'd like to share full episodes of this show with friends and family, subscribe to Healing Time Ministries on YouTube, and feel free to leave us a comment on any of Dr. Doug's social media platforms. Our team would love to hear your feedback and learn how Healing Time is impacting your life, your church, and your ministry.